Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Love New Jersey. They love where they're heading. It's time for them to take the next step, and the next step is not just the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's the conference final.
Well, they were for sure the story in my mind of the NHL last year, but I think, I don't like the term fluke, but I don't think they're going to pose another huge improvement. I don't. Do you? What do you think they're going to do?
I think they're going to do what they did last year. I believe this team's a playoff team. But if I look at the Metro Division up and down, I'm putting Carolina first. Why? Defensively, they're a little better. Goaltending, they're a little better. Last time I was on here, we talked about Connor Hellebuck. And, you know, if he comes to New Jersey, then this team's a legit Stanley Cup contender and has a threat to win the Stanley Cup because he is that good of a goaltender that can win a series, win games, and give them the stability in between the pipes that they need. Their goaltending was exposed against Carolina. It saved them against the Rangers, but the Rangers just can't hang with New Jersey's speed. But if you look at that Metro Division, Carolina won, New Jersey too. You know, three's open right now. Is it the Rangers? Is it Pittsburgh? You know, you have the Rangers out. I do too, because that team got a lot older, and it's specifically at the backup goaltending position. Jonathan Quick, it's a great story, but, you know, how often are you going to rely on this guy to do what he did last year for Vegas? Completely different defense in Vegas than in New York. So to me, can they compete with the speed of New Jersey and Carolina? I think those are the two teams to beat in the Metro Division, and they're going to be battling for first place again this year.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back, old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. And, yeah. It's nobody's fault but mine. But when I listen to that intro, I get triggered from high school parties with people annoying me, which transferred into adult life. Hi, welcome. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube live as usual. I'm in South Florida. Darren Moose DuPont is in the sweatpants capital today. Hi, Moose. Wonderful job by the boys flying the Millennium Falcon today. They had some issues out of the jump, but we got on the air on time. And I welcome all the new viewers. I opened up the text line, the EMJ Marketing text line, Moose, and there's all these people writing in saying, just discovered your show. It's awesome. So, yeah, things are great here. How about you? What's popping?
Yeah, things are great. I love to hear that, too, that the text line's popping, that the new viewers are reaching out, and the sun's shining. It's a great day. It's a good week. So looking forward to the show.
Yeah, the reason I get triggered, and just so you know, just hang on, Jordan, before you get to the show horn, and I will tell you our guests today are our good friend Scott Laughlin from SiriusXM, NHL Radio, and Adam Bighill of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the weekly CFL Players Association Player Spotlight presented by Sober Carpenter. It was always me, and I don't know if you've noticed, I'm not at the end of my rope. I jumped off the end of my rope. I'm good now. I had a meeting with my club this morning. Something was urging me to go, and I went, and it was, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change. So it was one thing to go to a high school party with a briefcase full of cassettes. You probably don't know what that is, but you do remember the CD cases that we used to have, or DVD cases. So I remember all those years riding the bus with junior hockey teams. We'd go through all my movies, old school, obviously, Slapshot, the ones that come to mind. And then we'd go through all those long 21-hour straight bus trips. We'd go through all the movies, watch them again. Miracle was another one with Kurt Russell. Then I had the George Strait live at the Houston Astrodome DVD. We got halfway through it, and one of the players came to the front and said, Rod, can we turn this off? The players are getting a headache. And I'm like, well, you guys put in your DVDs then. Same thing. It's always on me to bring the damn DVDs and the cassettes. I'm over it. Anyways, talk myself out of it. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Director Jordan, and we'll go back. Were you, Darren, the movie connoisseur or the DJ? Or why is it always me? Please tell me you were that guy.
Yeah, on the movies, not on the music. But I know, kids today. I mean, the bucket of cassettes. I understand it. I never had to live it, but I did have to live through the binder of CDs. If you wanted to have more than 12 songs with you, you needed a binder of CDs. Now the kids have, thousands of songs just right here, ready to go.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. I'm out of it now, and stories like this are why I don't want to do it again. Anyways, we'll get it. We got so much to get to today. Settle in, everybody. It's going to be fun, as it always is. Point one, George Springer celebrated his 34th birthday with his 57th career home run. Leadoff homer, Bo Bichette and Alejandro Kirk added 2-run homers, and the visiting Toronto Blue Jays beat the Yankees 7-1 on Tuesday. Yusei Kikuchi was pulled one batter into the 6th inning because of a muscle cramp. Kikuchi allowed 1 run in 5+ innings for his first win since August 2nd. Way to go, Blue Jays. But hockey season is here, as is football season. So good luck tonight in New York. We're moving on. Point two, we go to hockey, and we got breaking news today. Brad Marchand's been named captain of the Boston Bruins, which is quite interesting, actually, but I'm not a Bruins fan. I know you're not a Bruins fan. I wonder how the Bruins fans feel about that. And we'll get to that in a second. But number one, Columbus Blue Jackets owners and executives on Monday were contrite over the forced resignation of controversial coach Mike Babcock days before the opening of training camp and eager to move on. Blue Jackets president John Davidson said, quote, "All we can do now is learn from it and do everything we can to help our coaches and players get ready for the season. I know this is a major misstep that we now have to move past." Oh, no big deal. Bye. No, I don't think you're getting away with it that easily. A guy's lost his job here, which even a lot of Babs friends feel he deserved to. But we got to examine, and I would hope some people are examining this, but you shouldn't assume, because we don't know what happens when you assume. But the story I got in hockey was that Ken Hitchcock said there's only one guy for this job. It's Mike Babcock, and he told that to John Davidson, because when I was in Calgary this summer, which incidentally is John Davidson's hometown, the hockey people said to me, make no mistake, this is John Davidson hired, not Jarmo Kekalainen, the GM. So can they just sweep it under the rug and move on, Darren? Like, I literally don't really care. I'm ready to move on. But should they get a pass?
They're going to try. They shouldn't get a pass. Should they have to lose their jobs? I don't know. I mean, they didn't let Mike Babcock continue to coach once this came about, whether it was through the media or whoever, however they found out. But I do think that their moves should be heavily scrutinized, and I assume they're going to be under the microscope for how they act moving forward. But this was a mistake, and they'll try and sweep it under the rug, but they have to own part of this as well, even if they're going to keep their job.
Yeah, the story ain't over, as I've said it yesterday. We'll see where it goes, but I like Hitch. Him and my dad were really close. They worked together for a long time with Dallas, but there's just certain guys that time has really passed them by. Babs is obviously one, Hitch is one, and it kind of looks to me like John Davidson's another, yet he gets to keep his job. I don't get it. But anyways, we will move on. The Chicago Blackhawks will not have a captain this season. General manager Kyle Davidson made the announcement Tuesday. Jonathan Toews had been the captain for the last 15 years, but played his last game with them in April. Davidson, the general manager, said in a release, "I think we've added a lot of experienced leaders, but we're looking for the collective to find that leadership capability and not just the players that will end up wearing letters on their sweater. We're looking for everyone to step up as we enter the year." I wanted to spend far more time on this the other day than we did, and I think now might be a good time to do it. Who or what is the best captain? As a guy that's been in sports my whole life, I've seen all different kinds. I've had conversations with captains about it, guys that wanted to be captain, guys that didn't want to be captain, and should you go without a captain? It's becoming a thing to do that. The Flames have done it for a while. Chicago's doing it. Yet Boston's made Brad Marchand their captain today. I believe I read Braden Shen was named the captain of the St. Louis Blues on Tuesday, which I think is a tremendous move. But I think the best captains are kind of the biggest, not nerds per se, but not real big on personality. There's a reason they call Jonathan Toews Captain Serious. And some of the best captains we had in my time with the Regina Pats, I think of Barrett Jackman, who went on to a wonderful career in the NHL with the St. Louis Blues. He comes to mind immediately. Garth Murray. Connor Bedard. How often do you ever really see him smile? I mean, he was the captain of the Pats just last year. Who or what is your ideal captain? And I'd love to hear from the audience their answer to that, too. But because you're with me, what's yours, Darren?
Yeah, Adam Brooks was a good captain for the Regina Pats. If we're talking about the Pats, and I covered them a lot during
God's
this time.
team. Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't think there's, a lot of, there can be a lot of different captains. Some can lead by example on the ice. Others can be vocal in the room and lead by off-ice examples. Some can be popular and have great relationships with the coach. But I think there's one term for me that makes a good captain, and that is respect. Having respect and giving respect, I think the best captains always have it and give it. So I think that's really important. And I think Brad Marchand, as much as he's hated by some in the league, I think he has a lot of respect within his locker room. And he's played on Team Canada with a lot of guys who are captains. So to me, there's a little of that element there with him.
Yeah, dude, we could spend 2 solid hours on this because when I did a sports banquet with Matthew Barnaby, I said to Barney, what do you think about Brad Marchand on the stage in front of a full hall in Arcola, Saskatchewan? And he said, he's everything that I wished I could have been. Brad Marchand has far more respect than people think, and it's again, a very, very, very delicate situation because you want a guy that people lead, the other players lead or follow or whatever you want to say it, but they got to be going the right way. I didn't realize it for the longest time with me. People followed me and still do. The problem was for years I was leading them in the wrong direction. I think you've seen my leadership seminars that I've done in talks. I look at Duron Carter, same thing. He's the younger, black, physically talented version of me. Everybody wanted to follow Duron. But the problem was, and when I say, forget about the off-field stuff, he didn't work out. He didn't try hard. He can't follow that guy. He was breaking every team rule. And by the way, so was I in my heyday. It wasn't until that I turned my life around and in my case got sober that people were still following me, but at least I was leading them the right way. But I wasn't the guy that you would want to be captain of the team. Would you want Duron Carter to be the captain of your team? Right? Would you? No. So that's why this is a decision where they put in a lot of time and effort in that. And it just took me a while to realize, holy smokes, people follow me. I better be doing the right thing. Took a long time. On the text line, this is awesome, 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by EMJ Marketing. They will find the perfect keynote speaker for your event. Look up Joe at emjmarketing.com. From Goodyear, Arizona. Guy writes in, his name's Joe Polymerez, and he says, I hope to text into the show next time. I'm a first-time watcher. How about that? How about that, boys? What do we have for him? Mention our name, you'll get a good seat in the bathroom, Joe. And here's a good one for you from Tony. Tony in Regina. He writes in, Moose, and he says, hey, good morning, Rod. A week ago, your sidekick and you were talking about getting a trailer to Florida. I have the truck to do it, and I have a clean passport. My number, 306-539... Oh, yeah, I live in Regina, and I know Carm Carteri for a reference.
How about that?
That was on the text line. So,
how do you feel
just let
about
that sit.
Because he's probably going to want to stay over with you.
Right. Just think about it for a while. And by the way, I did extend an invitation to stay with us, which you've done. You know, Darren, we have room for company. And I extended it to the guy that farms my land. People think that I'm just a pretty face yakking it up on the yak box every day. They don't understand. that I've got revenue from the ag industry, the recovery industry, all different kinds of industries. And this is one of the guys that farms my land. I said, why don't you come on down? He was mad that I'm in Florida. I'm like, don't be mad, man. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. It's not my fault. Just come on down and enjoy it for yourself. Our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room Thursday through Saturday, 12 to 8 p.m., 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. They have their own bar there with the big screens on showing this show, Common Crown Brewing in Calgary. Check them out at commoncrownbrewing.ca. We have breaking news. We have so much to get to today. The Toronto Argonauts Football Club announced today that the team has extended the contract of general manager Michael Pinball Clemens, whom I believe is from Clearwater, Florida. Pinball was named the 20th general manager in Argonauts history in October of 2019. Since then, he's led the Argos to a Grey Cup championship, 3 straight East Division titles, and the best start in Argonauts history at 11-1. But tell me that it doesn't start at the top again, okay? He did it in a jiff in 2019.
Yeah.
There are other teams whose general managers that took over that same year that are still floundering and flip-flopping around. Oh, and by the way, the Double Blue had won only a total of 8 games in 2 seasons prior to Pinball showing up. I mean, what else do you need to know about this guy? As John Lynch would say, John Frenzy, the Hall of Fame Rough Riders broadcaster, he's a winner all the way. Right? So kudos to the Argos and Pinball Clemens. What do you... We'll dig into this a little more, but what are your thoughts on this breaking news today?
Yeah, it's a great hire or a great contract to keep your good people around. When you have good people, do whatever it takes to retain them. And the Argonauts are going in the right direction. There's no doubt about it. So get everybody locked up and keep the good times rolling.
And it's not, some will say there'll always be the haters. We've discussed that. And by the way, I got to get to the latest on Prime. Deion Sanders. But with the Argos, because I've got so many friends that work for them or have worked for them, it's the culture of pinball. There are different ways to win championships. The Vegas Golden Knights aren't doing it like the Toronto Argonauts. They have their own way. But in Toronto, and this isn't about Vegas, this is about the Argos. It's a trust situation. It is without question a love situation. Pinball said it on this show. Basically, you can make a mistake in Toronto, you're not going to get fired. Like in Vegas, you make a mistake, you're gone. And that works too. But in Toronto, they'll forgive it. You better not make it again. But that's also fine too. That's a culture of accountability, but also all being one together. And I'm so happy, and I love pinball, and I'm happy for this. We have less than a minute. I do want to talk about the merger of the USFL and the XFL. I did a Google search this morning, a Google News search on XFL, and the first story that came up said, oh, they're in talks, exploratory talks. I'm like, oh, great, here we go. They're talking about talking. And then I realized, no, they're advanced talks about merging. So we'll talk about that. Canada's game of the week in the CFL. What's the best 2-0 NFL team? Lionel Messi. Tonight's the night. Toronto FC's in town. It kind of snuck up on us, Moose. They're here tonight taking on Inter Miami. I didn't even know till this morning. Where were you on that one, Britt? We'll be right back. We're halfway through the Quick Six show topics live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, podcast, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, collectors, register for the premier sports card convention where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items, taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, and the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. I'm in South Florida, as you know. Darren Moose DuPont is with me from the Sweatpants capital. Dave is watching in Niagara Falls, Ontario on Game Plus television. He writes in and he says, "Hi guys, congrats on all the new watchers. Let's keep it going, just like the Argos." Brian in Hudson Bay, Sask, the Moose capital of the world, writes in regarding pinball taking over in 2019. He says, "LOL, yeah. One right here in the Wheat Province started in 2019, but according to some, he brings in great talent and deserves another contract. LOL, what a joke." And from the audience, Joe Booney is watching. You know, Joe Booney, we were on the Zoom call with him. You and I were at the Golden Corral.
That's right.
In Hialeah Gardens, Florida. And you were on the Zoom. He's like, "Good evening, Rod. It's Joe Booney from Syria." And he says, "Rod, have you looked at yourself in the mirror recently? You look absolutely wonderful. And I got to say, your co-host looks like a damn sexy piñata." See, he's buttering us up, Moose. And then he goes on to ask, how many touchdowns will Jordan Love have this season? Let's wait till Football Friday, Joe. Love the nice comments you said. You're a good-looking man yourself, but we do the talking and you do the watching. That has never changed. That has not changed. So, Darren, before I move on, XFL, USFL merger. I said it on the radio in Ottawa last night. I was on with AJ Jakovic, TSN Ottawa. Who's surprised by this? Smart companies that are competing, SiriusXM radio, there was a Sirius satellite radio and an XM satellite radio. They merged and dominated the world. Why fight? That's what I see these leagues doing. You?
Yeah, we're better together. That's always the case. I mean, there's always instances where it's not always the case, but as a viewer, I've had trouble, and I know a lot of viewers will say, I'm not interested in the spring football. I haven't gotten into spring football. I haven't got into these leagues. And when there's so many of them, and not that there's that many, but when there's multiples, you never know which one is the best one, so which one should I give my attention to? Well, if they merge together and become one, now there's no more choices. So now you know which one to follow in the spring if you want football. It's going to be easier to follow, easier to track. It's going to get more of our attention, and I think it's a good thing for the football fans, and it's good for both those leagues.
By the way, Flames Nation checking in, one of the most wonderful blogs and podcasts going, Flames Nation. They say, good morning, Rod, go Stamps. Guys, can you write in and tell me what's the hot stories at Calgary Flames training camp other than the captain? I'm keeping an eye on everything. And to be honest, so many people have written in this week. You've heard and seen some of their messages, Darren. They're like, Rod, you're so zen. You're so relaxed. Here's why. I've turned my television off. I've turned my phone off. And aside from zooming around in the Jeep, I haven't listened a whole lot to local sports radio. And all of a sudden, my brain is clear. So you might want to follow that, folks. Don't turn this show off, of course. But I don't need everybody's opinion on everything. You know, I used to think that the last two falls here, that I had to be up on everything. And where did that get me? Into the loony bin. So, no, just take it easy. On the merger, Carlos in Indianapolis says the XFL-USFL merger makes more sense than the proposed XFL-CFL merger. Darren in Salt Lake City, Utah, watching, says the timing of the proposed merger is interesting. The powerhouses of NCAA football may split from the NCAA and create a group of super conferences. This may be a response to that. And from Jay in Winnipeg watching, he says, great show, RP. The CFL game of the week is the Bombers bye week. LOL. Pa-dum-bum. Got that one, guys? So we will move on. I'm not going to spend any more time on this merger because right now it's just talk, and I want to talk about the games that are actually going on. I do think, as much as I like Randy Ambrosie, the commissioner of the CFL, he threw that out, proposed merger during COVID to see how many of us idiots bid on it. I did. And spent about 4 months on it. Distracting problems of the CFL, and the fact they eventually didn't play. So I'm not falling for it again. Way to go, Randy. You got me. To Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League, which is another thing. Another reason I'm very happy, Darren, is that I finally figured it out. I lay awake at night trying to figure things out. We launched this Cats and Bolts podcast where Serena and I will broadcast a podcast covering the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning, and everybody's going nuts around here about it. We already got 2 sponsors. I won't name them here. People are asking, when's your next podcast? When are you doing it? So instead of trying to appease the Floridians with this show, and they tell me they don't like the CFL talk and the junior hockey talk, but the problem is I do. So I'm not going to stop. You know what I mean? I created a show just for them, and it's going great. So I'm just real happy. So I can continue talking about what I love, which is the CFL. And incidentally, I'm not getting a tee. I'm not taking this ball out of the box because I like where it is. Do you like where it is, Derek? Because if I put it on a tee, the CFL, you wouldn't be able to see the logo as well.
Yeah, it'd be awkward. Yeah, I agree.
We're not about awkward things here. Do you know what this is? Do you know what it is? It's the awkward turtle. You didn't know that? It comes out when things get awkward. When things get awkward, the awkward turtle comes out. I'm serious. Point 4 is Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League. And I had to think a little bit about this. I'll give everybody a minute in case you haven't thought about the games in Week 16. Here they are. Friday, the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Ottawa Red Blacks, first of a doubleheader. Later that night, the BC Lions are at the Edmonton Elks. And then Saturday, another doubleheader, Montreal at Calgary. followed by the Hamilton Tiger Cats at the Toronto Argonauts. And our poll is brought to you daily by Key Auto Group. At the Key Auto Group, you can buy with confidence knowing that they provide reports on all vehicles they sell. Get fully informed about your next vehicle by going to keyautogroup.ca. I'll be watching as many of them as I can, but the one I'm most interested in the result is the BC Lions at the Edmonton Elks, because Edmonton's not the hottest team in the league, but they are the winners of 4 of their last 5. And they're coming on. They're right on the heels of Saskatchewan. And they're at home. And I wonder what the crowd's going to be like at Commonwealth Stadium. Edmonton they're not the hottest team. Toronto is. Winnipeg's obviously got a lot to prove. And BC's got a lot to play for, too. But if Edmonton wins that game, and I haven't even looked at the point spread yet, it's chaos, Darren, chaos in the CFL West standings if Edmonton wins this game.
It is. I'm really looking forward to it. But for fun, I'm going to say Toronto-Hamilton is my game of the week for a couple of reasons. Hamilton's coming off a big win over Winnipeg, best team in the West. Now they get a chance to knock off the best team in the East and their biggest rival, the best team in the league. What's Toronto going to look like, right? This might be a little indication of what they're going to look like for the rest of the season, right? Now that they've wrapped up first place, what's left to play for? So we'll see what Toronto comes out with. And Hamilton, maybe they're going to take another step towards trending upwards and maybe getting everybody excited that they could maybe play in the Grey Cup at home, because that needs to still be the goal for that team.
So you're voting Toronto-Hamilton?
Yeah.
Of course. You moved to Toronto, so you're Johnny Toronto now. So, of course, you're voting for Toronto.
I knew you were going to say that.
Of course you did. Jay in Winnipeg says, what if the CFL joins this merger? Don't come around here with the what if talk, because that is a signature phrase of anxiety. What if? What if? What if? What if our quarterback gets hurt? What if we clinch the East too soon and we have meaningless? What if? Let's talk about it when it does. Colin, well, first, Ted in Red Deer says, okay, the awkward turtle is a new one on me. And I'm old. LOL. Love this show. You got to have kids. That's where I learned it. Colin in Ottawa says, didn't Bill Manning go in business for himself and go to the XFL alone to propose merger talks? Pretty sure Randy and the Board of Governors were not consulted by Slick Willie on the talks. He's talking about Bill Manning, the president of the Argos, which is a whole other thing, and why I've been turning my phone off. That's why I'm so happy. I'm not listening to people. It's great. I had a guy that got fired by Bill Manning in Toronto. I won't say any more. Called me and just went up one side of Bill Manning and down the other about the guy. And this guy's a friend, so I kind of listened to it. But what's happened in the MLSE since that happened, the Raptors have won a championship. The Argos have won a Grey Cup. The Leafs are predicted to win the division. I know Manning's not the president of the Leafs, but he still goes to work there every day. My guy's got an axe to grind. That's fine, but it ain't my axe to grind. Hey, Darren, I know you hate this and the PETA people do even more, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And whatever they're doing in Toronto clearly is working. Jay Miller in Winnipeg says, RP, who's your Royal Rumble pick this year? Sorry, bro, you got the wrong show on that one. I don't go into pro wrestling at all. Sorry. I respect those that do. Not my thing. Our CFL coverage is brought to you in part by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beer. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com. I mean, come on. I'm sitting here trying to follow all the real sports. NFL, CFL, NHL, junior hockey, college football. You want to talk about the guys running around in tights with fake endings written by the... No, sorry. I don't. I respect that you love it. I don't follow it at all. As I mentioned, Lionel Messi, they don't even know if Messi's going to play tonight for Inter Miami. Can you imagine paying $400 US to go watch Toronto FC here in Miami tonight, and he don't play? I would burn the stadium down.
I can't imagine.
I'm not advocating you do that.
I know. I can't imagine how you would react. Forget about paying $400 if Britt took you for free and wasted your night to go down there and Messi wasn't playing. How mad and upsetting that would be. Forget
For those that don't know, all our new viewers, my landlord, Britt, is a season ticket holder for Inter Miami. He just casually dropped that out a year or two ago. And you know what? I never cared. And all of a sudden, it's the hottest ticket in South Florida. And I haven't heard from Britt about going to a game. He knows I'd like to go. Haven't heard from him. It's odd. And we'll push this to hour 2, Darren. I want you to think about it a little bit. Who is your best 2-0 team in the National Football League? I mean, God knows there's thousands of sports talk shows in the United States of America, more in Canada. They're all talking about the NFL. We don't need to talk about it, but there are interesting things to talk about. They were talking about this on Pardon the Interruption yesterday, and I quite enjoyed this topic. And we're kind of Canada's version, I believe, of Pardon the Interruption on Game Plus TV. Who's the best 2-0 team in the NFL? There are 2 teams in the AFC, the Miami Dolphins that play just down the street, and the Philadelphia Eagles. And over in the NFC, my conference, the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Washington Commanders. They're all in one division. And then, of course, the Falcons, #Rise Up, the New Orleans Saints, and the San Francisco 49ers. So there's a lot of 2-0 teams. Who's the best of them? We'll talk about that next hour, plus Prime setting a record on the weekend with the Colorado Buffaloes. We'll see you then, Moose.
You bet.
We'll be talking NHL hockey next with SiriusXM's Scott Laughlin. We are live on the Game Plus television network across all of Canada and 31 states. On the radio in Atlanta, WQEE, where we are Atlanta's NHL show. Apple, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Ladies and gentlemen, our hockey coverage is brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing Company. Head down to the tap room in Calgary Thursday through Saturday, noon to 8 p.m. That's 28th Street Northeast in Calgary, or check out Common Crown Brewing at commoncrown.ca. They're just down the street from Overtime Shooting Lanes, Overtime Hockey Lanes, another proud RP Show sponsor. We're talking hockey. It's opening day of NHL training camps. Let's bring in Scott Laughlin, our good friend from SiriusXM NHL Radio. And Scott, I'm going to jump right into it. The breaking news today, Brad Marchand is the newest captain of the Boston Bruins. Does that surprise you or not?
It doesn't really surprise me, Rod. I think that we had been building towards this. They had been building towards this. I think that what we needed to see from him was just not the productivity on the ice, but we have to acknowledge and maybe give him some credit for the way he's turned around his career, right? He's not going out there. He's not licking players anymore. He's not being a sideshow. He's really not only progressed with his game on the ice, but I think in terms of leadership, and I think what he brings to the table in terms of his veteran experience, I think it's something that Bruins team direly needs right now. When you lose Patrice Bergeron and you lose David Krejci, I guess Charlie McAvoy would be a consideration perhaps down the road to take the seat perhaps from 63, whenever it's said and done. But this guy is one of their best players still. And more than that, like I said, he's been disciplined the last couple of years, and that's key to his game and leadership values as well.
Good answer. Good answer. Now, what stories are you following in training camp the most, or are you just looking ahead to the regular season already? I mean, it's like Christmas, I would think, with training camps opening. Are there some stories on top of mind for you?
Well, I think some of the stories that we were maybe expecting to talk more about during the offseason have dragged into the start of the preseason and maybe into the regular season as well a couple of weeks from now, Rod, because we've been talking for the longest time about Calgary and what is new general manager Craig Conroy going to do with all those expiring contracts, and talking about Lindholm and talking about Hannafin and players like that. What can, if anything, be done to keep those players around, or do you have to move them out? Same thing, obviously, with Chevy and Winnipeg in terms of Scheifele and Connor Hellebuck. Are they coming? Are they going? How long does this drag on? I think that if you're the Winnipeg Jets, you want to make a move sooner rather than later. I don't necessarily think that you can roll the dice and hope that these guys maybe will factor into the long-term plans of your team if they haven't signed on by now. I guess Kevin Cheveldayoff is thinking if we can win to start off out of the gate. It's a new-look Jets team. There have been some key figures, obviously, that have been moved out. Blake Wheeler at the end of the road, of course, gets moved off to the Rangers. They get the return on Pierre-Luc Dubois, and they're hoping that those puzzle pieces can fit as well. I guess the hope is, especially when it comes to Connor Hellebuck, is that you win to start off the season, you have some success, and you make him realize that the goalie market maybe isn't what it used to be in terms of getting paid, almost like the NHL's version of the running back position in the NFL. It's undervalued right now. The guys aren't going to strike it rich. And maybe if you factor all those in to the equation and have some success to start the season in Winnipeg, maybe that convinces Connor Hellebuck that maybe the Jets are indeed the best place for him to be.
Well, what's interesting is you started saying Chevy's waiting and seeing, and you ended saying Hella is waiting and seeing, and that's what I think it is. I think both of them are saying if this goes well, he doesn't mind staying. He just wants to win, and maybe Scheifele's in the same boat. You remember him 2 off seasons ago saying, I need to see if this is the right fit for me. That's the new player, folks. He's the poster boy for the way they look at things. So maybe it all depends. Maybe everybody's waiting on that.
Well, as the late John Madden used to say, and you remember this, Rod, I mean, winning is the best deodorant, right? So anything that maybe is rankling you playing in a particular city with a particular team, if you win, everything starts to smell brighter, your food starts to taste a little bit better, and maybe you've got a hope there. Look, I think that Hellebuck in particular is the most important piece for them to keep that ship going in the right direction. I think that he was looking for Vasilevsky-type money, and I think the reality is that today's environment in the National Hockey League, Vegas has proven you can play 5 goalies and go on to win a Stanley Cup. And I think maybe the dream of getting Vasilevsky-type money and getting that type of a contract maybe is just not going to be there for him at this stage. So maybe you just re-up with the Jets. You get what you can get. You get a bit of a raise, but maybe not what you were entirely anticipating. And maybe, as they say, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It'll look a lot better for him in Winnipeg, certainly if they get off to a great start this season.
You talk NHL every day, and you're in Canada. I want your take on this, if you don't mind. We had 7 burning questions yesterday, one for each Canadian team, and one was, how long will Habs fans remain patient? I have the sense that they're patient. Have I misread that? And how would you answer that?
I think they've probably got one more season here to have sort of that honeymoon period as far as the rebuild goes. I don't think that anybody in Montreal is expecting or should be expecting that team to be a playoff team right now. And oh, by the way, Rod, I think we'd all agree they're probably in the toughest division in all of hockey, right? Top to bottom. I think 5 teams are coming out of the Atlantic Division, including the defending Eastern Conference champion Florida Panthers. So I think that division is stacked. I think Montreal is making progress. I think clearly that when you look at Buffalo and Ottawa and Detroit even, they're in front of Montreal at this stage. So you want to see further progression. You'd like to see Juraj Slafkovsky stay healthy, get out there and be productive and show what made him the top pick overall just a couple of years ago. You'd like to see further progression from Cole Caulfield. Can you pencil him in for 40 this season? I don't think that that's too much to ask. So I think that it really is still a work in progress. I don't think that they're quite there yet, and I think Montreal fans would and should realize that. I think next season is where you start to say, okay, Marty St. Louis, it's been a great story. We've got some great young players here, but next season, Rod, I think is where they really push up on the playoffs in the Eastern Conference.
Right. That sounds reasonable to me. And I have watched warm-ups here in Sunrise from ice level, and the Habs were the youngest team. I don't know if statistically they were the youngest team, but they were the youngest-looking team of any team that came through there. I'm like, this is the best American Hockey League team or major junior team I've ever seen. So they're ridiculously young, and they do love their coach, which means a lot. Just for fun, our official betting partner is Bet Regal, Scott, and they've set the over-under for Connor Bedard's rookie point total at 69.5 points this season. You taking the over or the under on that?
I'm going just over, I think, Rod, on that one. I'm in that boat that thinks maybe that sweet spot for him is going to be 35 goals and 75 points. I think that would be realistic. I think a lot of the time, too, we want to compare him to other generational talents that came before him. And, I think back to Sidney Crosby, because Bedard's coming in with Chicago the way that Crosby came in with Pittsburgh. He's expected to turn things around. But we even saw with Sid that, in his first season, he had 102 points, but they missed the playoffs. I think he's going to have a real productive individual season. But I think, obviously, Chicago's far from being a playoff team in the Western Conference, in the Central Division as well, pushing up on it. So I think the advantage that a guy like Crosby had, too, let's not forget, too, Rod, when he came into the NHL, they were coming off the work stoppage. They had clamped down on obstruction penalties, hooking, holding, interference, those sorts of things. Power plays were just being handed out like Oprah's book club for a while in the NHL back then, right? You get a power play, you get a power play. All of a sudden, the offense went up. Now there are not as many power plays in the NHL, I think, by way of comparison to when Sid came in with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I think 35 and 75 is a realistic goal for Connor Bedard, and I'd be disappointed if he doesn't get there.
Yeah. Well, his hat trick on the weekend certainly opened some eyes to make people realize that he can do it.
It didn't slow down the hype train at all.
No, it did not. Scott, I have more, but we're out of time. I hope we can do it again soon. Keep up the great work. As you know, I love listening to you. If you ever need anything from Sunrise, let me know.
We will be calling. Thanks very much, Rod.
SiriusXM Scott Laughlin joining us from the Big Smoke. We'll be back with a sports update and audience takeover in a moment. We're live on Game Plus Television, on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE 99.1 FM, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Some might call it open line or audience takeover. I'll get to your comments in a moment right after this sports update. What do we got? PointsBet is giving sports fans an opportunity to take home $1 million for predicting the perfect bracket at the 2023 PointsBet Invitational, Curling Canada's first major championship of the curling season. The grand prize of $1 million is available for any fan who correctly guesses the outcome of all 30 matches during the single elimination format event. The Sweep 16 bracket challenge can be filled out until the event begins on September 27th. Contest is open to all residents of Canada, excluding Quebec, who are 19 years of age or older at the time of entry. Can somebody please tell me, why does Quebec always get excluded from these contests? This has been going on since I was a child, and nobody's complained about it till now. Why is it always open to all residents of Canada, excluding Quebec? Seems very non-inclusive to me. The 2023 PointsBet Invitational features a field of Canada's best teams and some of the most promising university, college, U25, U21, and grassroots competitors, all vying for their share of a purse worth over $350,000. On Friday night, following the Elite 8 round, there will be a celebrity invitational event featuring numerous Canadian celebrities participating in a Draw to the Button challenge. Stay tuned for more details on who will compete. Let me tell you what the time I participated as a celebrity in a curling event. In a second. Our sports update is for Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment. Featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coopersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. It was, I want to get to your text here, but it was the SGI Charity Classic. Remember when we used to have that, folks, in the Agrodome? And it was me. Some will remember these names. Some won't. Barry Davies from Regina's Morning Show, 62, cool. Warren Woods, and I can't remember the fourth guy. I was still drinking back then. Damn sure Woodsy was too. Although maybe he wasn't. Barry and I were. And anyways, we're playing Jeff Stoughton, and they were up 8-0 after 2 ends. We weren't taking it seriously. And Warren Woods, he was the curler out of it. He was very serious about this. Can you guys take this serious? No, we can't. Lost 8-0. Shook hands after 2 ends. I think that was a record. So let's see if these guys, the celebrity team, shows up at least sober. Jim Wagner from Balgoni Sask writes in and says, on the topic of team captain, this is on the EMJ marketing text line. He says, I understand the concept of all members contributing, but how do 25 individuals lead? Doesn't someone have to take that lead? Am I missing something? I guess he's saying, why have the Chicago Blackhawks made the decision to go without a captain? We're going to have to talk about that next hour, because I don't know why the Flames went without a captain. The best teams that I've been with, and hey, you coaches that watch this show every day, why don't you text me? Because I never coached. I only want to be responsible for me, not 25 young men in a dressing room. I've often heard the leadership group should be an extension of the coach's office. And I believe that to be true. But if, I guess what, they don't want any buffer between the coach's office and the players? Maybe that's an actual thing. I don't know. It's a really good question, Jim, but he's saying, who's the leader if they don't have a leader? We got a few here. John Ohm says, Helly, that's Connor Hellebuck for those that don't know, won't be moved in that scenario. He got them in the playoffs. Basically, somebody wrote in here and said, it's Bob in Winnipeg says, what happens if the Jets are in a playoff spot at the trade deadline and Scheif and Helly are still on the roster? They stay and walk for nothing or get traded headed into the playoffs. This happens all the time. He goes, fascinating. This is what makes trade deadlines so exciting. The Jets got to make a decision. Are we going to be a buyer and go for it, or are we going to be a seller and get rid of these guys? That's why they get the big bucks. And by the way, Kevin Cheveldayoff isn't going to hide from this situation. I'm sure they'd be very happy to be in a playoff spot come trade deadline, and they got to go for it. Great question. I lost the music in my ear. Or did you start playing the music? Let me know. I'm not sure. There you go. Jay in Winnipeg says, by the way, Connor Bedard will be the captain of the Blackhawks. And maybe he will, but not this year. Hour 2 coming up. Lots of fun. Stick around on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now.
I'm wearing headphones, rocking it back old school radio days.
How about that?
And somebody said it looks like I'm plugged into a Walkman. And I remember when I got my first Walkman, because my brothers and I had to share it. And I was the youngest, so how often do you think I got it? And you had your case of cassettes, and then people started to crap on your music selection. And I'm like, then bring yours then! How many times did we have that conversation at parties?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Guilty as charged. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome to the RP Show. Settle on down inside for the fastest 2 hours on television and radio and podcast. We are on Game Plus TV network, and may I say, very proud to be. Love those guys and gals down there at Game Plus. Same for WQEE in Atlanta, and of course, podcast and YouTube Live. I am in South Florida, as you can see, or maybe hear. Darren Moose Dupont joins us from the Sweatpants Capital, and it's just going exactly the way that I hoped that it would. Darren, we're having fun. We're covering almost no ground, but did I mention we're having fun? Talking sports here today. How's your morning going, sir?
It's a great morning. Yeah, what could be better? I mean, the show's going great. Weather's good. Everything's coming up our way, I think, this morning.
Yeah, just to recap for all those that may have missed, and shame on you if you did, hour one of the program. Talk about the Blue Jays winning at the Yankees last night. The Blue Jays, I'm sure these other teams in the wild card race are saying, would you just go away? It's one of the most up and down seasons I remember in Blue Jays history. But they won again at the Yankees. They're in a wild card spot. They'll visit New York tonight. NHL training camp news. We went around the camps with SiriusXM Scott Laughlin. Actually ran out of time. As Clint Malarchuk said to me one time, you and I could sure ring up a phone bill. That's how I feel with Scott Laughlin, too. Just love talking hockey with that guy. Mike Pinball Clemens getting a contract extension with the Toronto Argonauts. What a story he's been. 3 straight East Division pennants, plus a Grey Cup under Pinball, and not going anywhere anytime soon. That's the breaking news today. Brad Marchand's the new captain of the Boston Bruins. And the idea of captaincy, I promised the audience that I would bring you in and ask you a few of your thoughts on this, Darren, because you're not just a pretty face. You have strong, sound opinions, and you're pretty good with a wrench, too. I was thinking about this morning. I'm like, Darren is far better with a vehicle than me. And you're not even a farm kid. Where did you learn that?
You learn it when you have to. As you know, you've gone through it.
Yeah.
You spend so much time on the road, and I've had so much issues with vehicles, mostly a lot of tire issues. I've had alternator issues, thermostats, and when you don't have a lot of money and you're on the road all the time, you got to get pretty creative. So YouTube helped a lot. My dad and brother are even far more handy than I am, but you just kind of learn by necessity.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear you say that. So that we haven't gotten into the NFL talk, and we will. I said last hour, you and I, we have fun discussions about this in terms of the direction of the show. I say to Darren, everybody's talking about the NFL. They don't need our opinion. And you say, well, people want your opinion. And we're getting people writing in here now. I don't know how they're finding us. I don't know. But they're writing in from Los Angeles, Arizona, Texas, here in Florida, Illinois. And they want our opinions on those big leagues. So we will get that, but we're not going to spend 2 hours on it because our, football it's your favorite sport. The NFL is my second favorite league, and I do follow it pretty closely. But and hockey is number one for me. But just to put a bow on some of what these people were talking about from last hour, Winnipeg Jets. We have a very high viewership in Winnipeg. There's a lot of Jets fans watching, and they all need to back away from the ledge. You got through the summer. They're on ice today. Today is day one of NHL training camps. So now judge what you're seeing out on the ice. Because, Darren, I don't know if you were part of the show last hour or not when people were saying, what if this? What if that? What if that? Don't. You have no control over what they're going to do. So sit back and relax and just watch now. For instance, Randy from Winnipeg writes in and he goes, haven't heard nothing from Chevy last trade deadline or this summer. Is he still the GM? Make a move. I'm allowing him to vent because that's what we do on Open Line. But what do you want him to do? They got rid of their captain, Blake Wheeler. They stripped him of the C, and then they punted his ass out of town. They weren't going to trade Connor Hellebuck. It sounds to me like they tried and couldn't find a willing dance partner. So here we are. Forget it. They're never going to listen, Darren. They're never going to listen.
No.
So
they're not. But on that, the what ifs, it's like being on an airplane, and I often tell people, and myself too, if I ever have any turbulence issues, but like, if people are getting, what if the plane goes down? What if we do this? It's like, if the plane's going left, we're all going left. If the plane goes right, we're all going right. So just enjoy your book, enjoy your movie, and it's going to happen the way it's going to happen. Yeah. There's nothing you and I can do about it.
I get sucked into this every friggin' day, trying to tell people to calm down, and they won't do it. So you know what I need to do? I need to calm down. And as I said, how I opened this show, I had a meeting of my club this morning, and it was fantastic. And God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The text line's open, 902-518-3033. Again, 902-518-3033. Darren in Utah says, making a move to make a move doesn't end well. LOL. But they've made the moves. That's the point. We make more. No, not that one. Make the move I wanted you to. If you want to run the team, put in your resume. I'll just say this. We are, for the new audience, we are Canada's, pardon the interruption. How about that? I really feel that's it. There's a million different TV talk shows, and I will now get to the things that I was threatening to talk about last hour, which is Deion Prime Sanders, highest prime time television college game rated ever. Highest ratings ever for a college football game on cable TV, and it didn't kick off until 10 Eastern. But Jay in Winnipeg said, if we're pardon the interruption, he said, which one's Kornheiser? I'm pretty sure we know the answer to that.
Bob's your uncle.
Obviously, that would make you Mike Wilbon.
Mike Wilbon, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. 100%. I'm just, yeah, don't quite look like Wilbon. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. And I don't, well, maybe I do look like Tony Kornheiser. I don't know. But I'll say this. Everywhere we go around here in South Florida, if you go into a restaurant at supper, you go into the mall, and there's TVs on, all the TVs are on Pardon the Interruption. So I'm like, if that's an inspiration for us, I'll take it. They influence opinion in sports in America. I'm not saying we do in Canada, but it's not a bad goal to have. Wayne in BC says, I love hearing the Serenity Prayer on the RP show, which reminds me of the big shot ad executive we were at in his office here in Boca, and Darren was with me in Serena 2, in that boardroom on the top floor. Remember, Moose? And the guy says, there's thousands of sports shows out there. What makes yours different? Nobody really said anything in the room. Did I not stand up and go, me? That's what's different. Would you watch it? Figure it out for yourself. Right? That's what's different.
Absolutely. It's us.
So,
it's the stories.
Yeah. Yes, it's the stories. Now, having said that, we pause that to talk about what everybody else is talking about. I saw a headline in USA Today, because I read it every day, and I have for 25 years. I just love that newspaper. It said, Deion Primetime Sanders, the most popular college football coach ever. And it reminds me of a time when I was in Las Vegas with Ray Elgard, Hall of Fame, Saskatchewan Roughriders receiver, slot back, and he just goes, down here in America, everything's the biggest ever, the greatest ever, the this ever. And I'm like, do we need to pump the brakes and calling primetime? Since he hasn't won jack squat, the best ever at anything other than making money. And hey, great start at Colorado. But best ever? What do you think about that?
I mean, you have to put it into context. Best ever, first-year head coach at Power 5. Best ever, probably the best ever coach in Colorado history, and that's saying something. I mean, there's things like that. But, I mean, he's not touching Nick Saban, not touching Kirby Smart yet. He's not touching, these coaches
Bobby
who won
Bowden.
national championships. Yeah.
Yes.
But he's on his way. He's on his way. And let's say he's unique and one of a kind, and nobody's ever done it this way. We're seeing something that's never been done before, so that's pretty cool, and we should be paying attention every time they take the field and every time he speaks. He's becoming one of those guys, but he's not the best ever yet.
Yeah, and that's why I get so tired and sick of the haters, because he came out prime after Saturday night's win over Colorado State, and he didn't talk down the Rams coach Jay Norville, who had talked down to Deion leading up to the game. He goes, I've never talked bad about a brother. I have never talked bad about an opponent ever. That's the way I am. We do what we do to the best of our ability. He's got JC on his sleeve. That stands for Jesus Christ, for those that don't know, our Lord and Savior. He's very unabashed about that, but he's never been in trouble. He never talks noise about anybody, and yet people still hate him. So guess what you do with that? Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. You ignore them. You just ignore the haters. It's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. Just too busy blocking out the haters. 1:11.
Beautiful.
Visualize a positive outcome.
How about
to your current queries. Ward. Okay, Ward in Winnipeg. Thanks for this. We're going to switch gears a little bit. He says, hi, Rod. I'm still in CFL mode. Hockey for me regarding the Jets doesn't matter till after Christmas. We'll get to that in a second. And our poll question today is, what's Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? So we will get to that. But Darren, I asked him to put some thought into this. Who's the best 2-0 team in the National Football League? The Miami Dolphins, The Baltimore Ravens in the AFC are one of the 6 NFC teams: the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders, Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, or San Francisco 49ers. Who's the best team out of that bunch?
You're sitting down. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys? Yeah?
It's the Dallas Cowboys. And they're doing it. I mean, I'm just pulling up the numbers. They're first in points scored. They're second in yards against their defense, first in points against. So they're scoring the most points and limiting opponents to the least amount of points in the league. First in both. And they're doing it by only being the 20th ranked team passing. So there's room to improve. They're 8th in rushing. So they're doing okay there. Their pass defense, number 1. That's important. Their rush defense is 9th. So they're checking all the boxes for me. They're good on third down. And they're playing in prime time, so lots of attention and spotlight and pressure. Dallas, for me, right now, is the best 2-0 team in the league.
I appreciate you saying that, and I would tend to agree. Because they're motorboating teams right now. They're motorboating teams right now. You're seeing this, like they're crushing teams. But I would far rather be the best team in February than September. So in a way, I just see Rowdy Roddy Piper's face. It's a trick question. Who cares who's the best 2-0 team right now? Because it doesn't matter. Canada's Game of the Week in the Canadian Football League is our poll question today. Our daily poll questions brought to you by Key Auto Group. Key Auto Group is driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. By the way, Adam Bighill coming up, star linebacker of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Later on this hour in our CFL Players Association segment, brought to you by Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beer. Your options are Toronto. I got it written down here: Sask at Ottawa, BC at Edmonton, Montreal at Calgary, or Hamilton at Toronto. And I didn't even look who's leading the poll on YouTube. I haven't looked at what they're leading on Twitter. What are they saying, Clark? You got anything there on YouTube? Who's leading? Yeah, that's what I voted for. Thank you. BC Edmonton leading in both Twitter and YouTube. 38% leading. BC at Edmonton, 31% saying Sask at Ottawa. 23% saying Hamilton at Toronto, and only 8% saying Montreal at Calgary. I feel bad for the Stampeders. Wake up, Calgary. Your football team's still playing. I know that the hockey team started training camp. Why am I getting an echo in my ear? Somebody got a button pushed there. That's still there. It's BC at Edmonton for me. Do you actually feel, you voted for Toronto, Hamilton, you actually feel that way, or is that just because you get your mail in Toronto? Tell me.
No, I actually do. And it's, this is another, test for Hamilton to say, are they for real? Can we start to buy into Hamilton and some hype that they might be able to get to a Grey Cup and get that rivalry with Toronto going again? They just beat Winnipeg, and now they're looking at the top team in the league. And we talked about, we had a lot of fans that say, well, I'm nervous for Toronto to win last week because then they got nothing to play for. Well, we'll find out. And I think they'll play hard. I think it's going to be an interesting game. But again, my real attention and fandom is following this Edmonton Elks team right now because that team itself is the biggest storyline in the Canadian Football League.
I'm going to tell you before we break what sells. I'll tell you what sells. Hype. Not just winning, because the Stampeders and the Argos will tell you those are the two markets where you can win, and people still don't obviously buy tickets. I don't know why. But Colorado Buffaloes, hype. Why was that the most watched college game in primetime ever? Hype, baby. Nobody really cares that the Buffaloes were 2-0 going in. Give me a break. It was week 3 of the college season. Hype. And this BC Edmonton game, it's got hype. I'm not so sure the Sask-Ottawa game really does. But we'll talk about all the games and do open line next segment. Whatever you'd like to talk about, we'll do it for you. Just imagine just throwing pitches at us, and Moose and I will swing at them. And Adam Bighill coming up from the Blue Bombers. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, podcast, Apple and Spotify.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP Show continues, coming at you live from South Florida, as you see. Moose DuPont is with us. And by the way, collectors, register for the Premier Sports Card Convention, where collectors, enthusiasts, and sports lovers unite to celebrate the beauty and value of their treasured items, taking place in Red Deer, Alberta, in the Parkland Pavilion, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Get your tickets and more information at premiersportscardcon.ca. I got some NHL news here that's come down the pipe. It's not that great of news, depending on whom you cheer for. But Darren, let me ask you this. Who doesn't love collectibles? I think we all do at some point in our life. If we don't still, it is what it is. Whether it's a sports card, a hockey card, a mini helmet, mini stick, something like that. I want to ask our viewers, do you have a current prized possession in this regard? Or one that you did own Maybe you sold or had to sell it. I don't know. I mean, I was that guy that went away to college and left my hockey cards behind, and Mom threw them out. And not her fault. I was gone. Not her fault. Pretty damn sure there were Gretzky and Lemieux rookie cards in there. Why wouldn't there be? I had every player. You know what I mean? And I had WHL cards as well, not to mention baseball, all of that. But I have a few other stories about that. But is there something that pops into mind? Memorabilia, cards, anything for you that meant more than the others? We don't hear Darren. I can't hear Darren.
That's a big problem. We got it. It's very similar to yours, Rod. I was a kid who loved hockey, collecting the things, and my parents spent some extra money for my birthday and got me the really thick anniversary set of all the anniversary cards. So I had Gordie Howe and Gretzky and Lemieux and Daryl Sittler and all my favorites. And I thought, you know what, I wasn't a very responsible kid. You know, if I got something, sometimes I wouldn't value things, and I would wreck things, you know, as a kid. So I took those cards, all the ones that I thought were the best, and I put them in a box, and without telling anybody, I went in the backyard and I dug a hole and I buried them. And I thought, I'm going to save these, and when I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, they're going to be worth $1 million, I thought. 5 years later, I go to dig them up, and nobody knew they were there, and my dad was mad, and my mom, they said, you should have told us, because we would have told you to put them in plastic. The wooden box was rotten, the cards were all rotten and destroyed and never to be seen again. So that one really was disappointing.
What a lesson.
Yeah.
The most painful lessons are the ones that stick with you. FYI. Make a meme out of that. Hey. Stacy from Access says, I have an autographed Bedard Pats jersey. That'd be worth something. When was it going for like $10,000? I know a guy in Calgary that I got 2 signed Bedard jerseys for. Haven't heard from him for a while. From Maji writes in and he says, don't feel bad, RP. My mom threw away my hockey cards too. But somehow I still have my signed Mike Bossy rookie card. The boss. Jay in Winnipeg says, I got a Brett Hull GT Noma. Beat that. I don't even know what a GT Noma is. Do you?
No, when you said GT, I thought that was like one of those...
A car.
Sleds. You know? GT racer, you drive down the ski hill. Yeah. Maybe it's a Brett Hull
Darren in Utah. Darren from Utah says, I have an LA Rams autographed helmet from Kevin Curtis. Special to me because I coached him in high school. Jen from the Four Seasons says, I got one too, as well as a team signed one. Oh, a Bedard jersey, yeah. I'm not joking about that Bedard jersey. I might ask for one back of the 2 that I gave to the guy and haven't heard from in a year. Randy from Winnipeg says, I have a Hull, Hedberg, Nilsson rookie cards. The hotline. Boys, this got everybody going. I went into that store, Hollywood Collectibles in Hollywood, Florida, 2 Sundays ago when Matthew Tkachuk was signing autographs there and posing for photos, and I was just looking around. I was honestly surprised at how inexpensive the things were. Not cheap, inexpensive. There is a difference. It was a Miami Dolphins white helmet signed by Tua for like $500. Like, I would have thought the helmet alone would be about $200. And I've learned a lot, man. If there's one thing I want everybody to do, please learn from your experiences. Please. I've learned a lot. When I was doing those sports banquets, tell me if you think this is bad. I don't think you would, Darren. But I used to travel around some small towns. Even in Regina, they were cheaper than the people in the small towns. In terms of this, there would be a signed Jordan Eberle Edmonton Oilers jersey, number 14, and it would go for like $175. To me, Because around the end of the night, 10:30, I would just mosey by the silent auction table and have a look at what the bids were. I'm like, the jersey's worth more than this. Scribbled on 180. There was nothing nefarious going on in terms, like I didn't like move the silent auction time or something like that. I had no control over it. But a lot of times I would end up with those jerseys that didn't turn around. I remember I sold the Eberle one to a guy in Wetaskiwin for like $1,750. And then I had people coming at me going, you son of a, you paid $180 for that. You 10 times your money. I actually had the balls to, or not balls, audacity to feel bad. I would do it now 100 times over. Why was I feeling bad at the time? I wasn't doing anything wrong, was I?
No, don't feel bad. You raised the bid, which got more money into the charity or whatever cause was being supported at the banquet for the new rink or whatever they were building. No, and you made a little money off it. It's the same as, going to a yard sale, a garage sale, and some elderly couple is selling an old Nintendo entertainment system, not realizing that you could put that on eBay and get $3,000 for it because it's now an antique, right? It's the same, you found a deal and you capitalized on it.
Yeah, and people get pissed. I don't know why I felt bad. I'm mad at myself that I ever would even feel bad about that.
It's not like Eberle came over, went out of his way to give you the signature, and then you turn around and sold it. That would be weird.
No. John Ohm says, I shook Wayne Gretzky's hand. LOL. Memories over material items. That's important, too. To each their own. As you know, John, Serena met Wayne. And we have a photo of it. Just in June. BW in Edmonton says, I have a signed Team Finland Junior 1995 team jersey. I was on security in Red Deer. There was, I won't. Colin in Ottawa says, do the autographs have the authentication certificates with them? That's a must for me, Roddy. Which autographs? Because I'll tell you what, the Bedard jerseys I got signed, you don't need a letter. If I'm telling you he signed it and the Pats told me he signed it. Don't worry about it. I get what you're saying, though. Like in that store here with the Tua helmet, was there a letter with it? I don't know. I didn't pay that much attention to it. But I didn't expect this would get as much interest as it has. I should have known, though. We are a sports show and people love that kind of thing. I just can't wait to get to the break and ask that guy, hey, what'd you do with those Bedard jerseys? Because I haven't heard anything from them since. Randy from Winnipeg says 3 Solani rookie cards signed when I went to a Jets fan fest. The cool thing is you guys are all hanging on to those. People that go out and sell those things don't mean a whole lot to them. The Eberle jersey didn't mean a lot to me because I know the guy. Like I bought a Jackman jersey because Barrett meant a lot to me, and I don't see Barrett that often. A signed St. Louis Blues jersey, which I still have. I know I can get an Eberle jersey all the time. You guys are hanging on to your mementos, and that means a lot. And the very first ever package of OPG hockey cards I got, I'll never forget. It was at Buy Right Drugs, South Albert, Regina. I don't remember the year, but I remember pulling it open, and I could smell the bubble gum inside, and I had Dave Tippett in that first pack and 2 Blaine Stoutons of the Hartford Whalers. How about that? Do you remember the cards in the very first pack of hockey cards that you ever opened? That was in the group of cards that my mom threw out. And again, you understand this is years and years and years of therapy and CBT, as they call it, cognitive behavioral therapy, instead of yelling at my mom. Well, Rod, if they meant that much to you, you should have took him to Calgary with you to college. Stop yelling at your mom. She was just cleaning out your room. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, and that's so true.
Yeah, and my dad, when he was working for the Calgary Wranglers, you see, my mind just went somewhere. Hang on. When my dad was working for the Calgary Wranglers, they practiced in Wilcox in the old Notre Dame rink, and Mike Vernon was playing on the Wranglers, and he signed a Louisville goalie stick in about 1983, which I had for years and years and years. It might still be in my mom and dad's house. That thing meant a lot to me. It's part of the reason why I love Mike Vernon. But I just remembered my George Strait autographed guitar strap. We have a winner, Clark. No more phone calls. That is my most prized possession. And that probably doesn't surprise you because you know me so well. The sports stuff doesn't mean a lot to me because it's just the guys. I can get it at any time. But a George Strait autographed guitar strap, which I got him to autograph in 1986 at the Center of the Arts in Regina when I was sitting in row 8 and went to the front of the stage and got him to sign it after his concert. That sucker's locked up and ain't going anywhere. It's not even in sight. That is in a safe place.
I was going to say safety deposit box.
Safe place, not necessarily. It wouldn't fit in a safety deposit box. So, anyways, Moose, we'll let you go. Appreciate all of it. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Do we have Adam Bighill yet, guys, or nah? Okay. I'm not worried. I'm just saying I'll read a sports update right now. Tampa Bay Lightning captain Steven Stamkos said he is disappointed about the lack of discussions with the team about a new contract. Stamkos' current $68 million 8-year deal ends after the upcoming season, and he said there have not been any conversations about an extension. Stamkos said Wednesday as Lightning players reported for the start of training camp, "To be honest, I'm disappointed in the lack of talk in that regard. It was something that I expressed at the end of last year that I wanted to get something done before training camp started." Ooh, boy, how do you feel about that, Lightning fans? Vancouver Canucks defenseman Tucker Poolman will start the upcoming NHL season on long-term injured reserve as he continues to recover from migraines. Canucks general manager Patrick Alvin says Poolman will not be with the team when it opens training camp today in Victoria. The 30-year-old signed a 4-year, $10 million deal with the Canucks before the 2021-22 season. The migraine issue limited the American defenseman to 40 games in his first season with the Canucks. Sports updates brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment featuring their Core 5. Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. Adam Bighill of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers scheduled to join us next in our CFLPA segment for Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beverages. We'll be back on Game Plus, WQEE, Apple Podcast, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Back live on the RP Show, coming at you from sunny South Florida, where they do love the Canadian Football League. And doubleheaders Friday and Saturday, none involving the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I tell you folks, every week when we do the CFL Players Association Player Spotlight, brought to you by Sober Carpenter Non-Alcoholic Craft Beer, I'm always excited to find out who it is going to be our guest. This week, it's Biggie, one of my favorites, Adam Bighill, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a living Hall of Famer. We say it all the time, three-time Grey Cup champion, CFL Most Outstanding Defensive Player 3 times, 6-time CFL All-Canadian, 8-time Division All-Star. But enough of that. Still leading the Bombers in tackles. Hey, Biggie, no big deal, not slowing down. It's been quite a season so far, eh? How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. It's been a season. Every season is a unique journey and a unique story. You know, but I mean, for me personally, you know, came into the season feeling extremely good, and body is feeling great, and you know, playing fast, playing physical, and playing at a high level that you know, that I really like.
You know, you say every season's unique, and I think you're talking about individually. But as you know, they're also for the team. How is this season different? Because here we are, ho-hum, you're leading the division again, expected to be in the Grey Cup. But take me a little more inside it. How's this season been different than others in your time in Winnipeg, or for that matter, all your years in BC?
But yeah, I mean, you know, roster composition is always one of the biggest, you know, changes year to year, just because the CFL teams generally have a decent amount of swing. I mean, this year, you know, we returned so many people from the prior season, you know, but we added in a little sprinkling of rookies and guys that, you know, kind of came to the roster to kind of, you know, help push our efforts. And, you know, like in terms of unique season, right, like it's been strange. Like in training camp, we didn't have one spot that was really open for a rookie to really win a job. I mean, it was very rare. I mean, I've never seen that. So, you know, coming into the season, we had the guys that we knew we were ready to go try to win this Grey Cup with. And, you know, we're on that journey right now. And, you know, I think every game this season is just, it's been a bit of a learning experience in terms of, figuring out who we are this year in 2023. I mean, we know who we are, what we're capable of, but you got to put that on the field every single week. And, we've lost some close games that we shouldn't have lost, and we won some games pretty big that we know that we're capable of. And it's just about creating that consistency and being able to do that, more frequently. And obviously, I tell everyone, it's about playing your best football come November. And that's what we're really focused on right now.
Well, what's interesting is you went there in 2018 before the Grey Cups, and Willie went there before the Grey Cups, and Jackson Jeffcoat. Like, you guys built something together, and I'm kind of interested to know what's motivating you now. I know that sounds like a stupid question, but you've been to 3 straight Grey Cups. Are you hearing the people that say they're getting old, they're over the hill, that's past, or is there something else motivating you?
Well, I mean, I think as a professional athlete or even an athlete that plays a sport, like, yeah, you want to have fun, sure, but you also play to win. You play to win a championship because you're a competitor. And we got a locker room full of competitors that the only reason we play this game is to win the Grey Cup. I mean, that's literally it. I mean, yeah, we provide for our families, but you're not satisfied, not winning at all. It's a failure. So for that reason alone, I mean, I know that's why we have been so successful, because we have so many competitors that, aren't waiting for motivation. The motivation is inside of them. And, that is a key differentiator, I think, having the right group of guys. And in terms of, these guys are getting old, this and that, I mean, you can say what you want, but I think our record speaks for itself, guys are still playing at an extremely high level. People can latch on to whatever, tagline, headline that they want. But, we're playing good football, and, you still have to respect that.
Well, and as I say, just with your individual stats, you're not slowing down. But I've never been on the same team with you, but I know Zach well, and I know Willie well. There were some very strong personalities in that locker room. How did you all get headed in the one direction? Because that couldn't have been easy either. You all seem to have a common goal, and you're still going that way.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you come to Winnipeg, you got to fit in. There's one goal, there's one mission, there's a process and how we do things, and if you're not a part of that alignment, then you're no good to us. You really aren't. You're distracting, and that's taking away from what we want to achieve, and you're not a good fit, and you're not going to last long. So the guys who come to Winnipeg, have stayed in Winnipeg, have been successful in Winnipeg, the guys we bring in are good fits, for the fact that they're willing to be selfless and put themselves, behind the team and really support, and do whatever is needed. And, you got guys that commit to that. I tell you, good things happen.
Last time the Bombers were on a bye, Willie was on this show, and he was just staying at home. As a matter of fact, he just got back from the zoo. You got a young family, too. What are you guys getting up to here on bye week, the Bighill family?
Yeah, we had, I was coaching football the day after the game. My son's team, first year tackle, they got another win. AJ had a great game, had a pick 6 and a nice touchdown run. But after that, me and my wife Christina was took away for a couple days up to Clear Lake, and got just a couple days off. Stayed at State Lake House, had a good time. We're just on our way back right now, so gotta go do some fun things with the kids tonight, and we got coaching up again tomorrow. I swear, football every night of the week, no matter what, I tell you.
Doesn't sound like much of a break. Well, I do recall in one of our recent one of our interviews from a few years ago about the financial planning business. How's business? You've been able to dedicate time to that? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a business that never sleeps, so it definitely requires your attention. I mean, the biggest thing I'm always doing is reading and staying on top of trends and where the markets are going, and then just managing client portfolios and client requests. So during the season, not really bringing on too many new clients as much as just managing the business. So, but it's going really well. I really enjoy it. I love helping people, finding creative solutions for people that they didn't know existed. and it gives me a lot of satisfaction for sure.
Well, last question. If somebody's watching right now and would like to, is looking for a financial advisor, could they get a hold of you? Could they reach out to you? And if so, how would they do it?
Yeah, you could. You could send me an email at adam.bighill@wellington-altus.ca. Or you can navigate through the website. You can Google it and find me there. But always willing to have a conversation. I do free portfolio reviews and analysis just to kind of help you understand, are you on track? Are you doing the right things? Is there something that could be doing better? And I offer that free of charge, no problem, just to kind of give people a sense of, are they on track? So more than happy.
Good for you, Adam. I'll tell you what, you're a champion on and off the field. You know that, but I would just like to reiterate it. Enjoy the rest of the bye. Travel safely, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Always a pleasure.
Same to you. Adam Bighill, player rep of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and it's our weekly CFL Players Association Player Spotlight, brought to you by Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers. Check them out at sobercarpenter.com and find a vendor near you. Get 10% off your first order and free shipping at sobercarpenter.com. We'll be right back with a overtime and a sports update. Sorry, there's a lizard on my screen right next door. Right next to me. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, WQEE, podcast, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, we're back. Producer Clark tells me we got 7 minutes here. I can fill that in my sleep, literally. But I won't. I'd like to involve you here in Overtime, brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast. And I appreciate Randy checking in right now. He's watching the show. Let me get that Game Plus logo. There you go. We are live on Game Plus TV. 2 million more homes now, thanks to the Shaw-Rogers deal, Channel 230. Of course, always on TELUS across Alberta and BC, Channel 924. SaskTel Max, Channel 427 in HD. Across Manitoba on Bell MTS, Channel 1190. And all across Eastern Canada. But anyways, Randy from Overtime Hockey Lanes, which incidentally is where skill and fun collide. I'm still sticking with my, it's an amusement park for hockey players, because it is. What do they say in that book, The Art of War? Know thyself. I know I don't like golf, but I know I like shooting pucks. Randy might say I'm not that good at it, but it's always the thrill of the next one, right? Just like the golf shot. That's what Overtime Hockey Lanes is. Just go give them a try. 28th Street Northeast. Parties, staff parties, team bonding, you name it. They got a bar there, fully licensed. Overtime Hockey Lanes, one of the greatest places, I'm not joking, that I've discovered. And we appreciate having them as a partner. All kinds of commentary here from our audience, and I love you. 902-518-3033 for EMJ Marketing. They bring you the text line, but don't for 1 second think you're going to influence what we talk about here, because we can't do that. Too many people want too many different things, and I'll go nuts into the ground trying to please everybody. There's a song about that from Ricky Nelson. Go look it up. BW from Edmonton, watching on the streams, says that's a meme. And Ryan in New York said, instead of a squirrel moment, there's a lizard moment. Well, when lizard starts running up your line A, what are you going to do? It's a little startling. Wayne in BC, it's another fantastic RP show. It goes by so fast, but I love it. Thank you, Wayne in BC. You got to go check out Overtime Hockey Lanes on your next way through Calgary. It came up today, and I was only thinking about it because of the Premier Hockey Card, Sports Card Convention in Red Deer, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Why don't you go check it out, please, and tell me how it was. I know it's going to be great. Bruno in Hinton, Alberta, writes in, he says, Rod, I do have a hockey collection. Great show. Tell me what that hockey collection is. I mean, nobody had more fun with this kind of stuff than when we were kids. And you don't need to grow up. Growing up is a choice. You're not forced to do that. But very good friend of mine named Chris, for whatever reason, we went to the town junkyard. I don't know why. Maybe we were hauling stuff out there. I don't know. Probably. Small town, Saskatchewan. And we discovered an old table hockey game out there. And we were like, why would anybody throw this away? And the players were still on the pegs, and they were metal, and it was the Vancouver Canucks and the original Blues with the green trim and the hockey stick logo, not the Flying V or what they wore to the Stanley Cup final in '94, the original. And these guys, they had no helmets. That's how old the players were. Oh, my God, we couldn't wait. I don't know who threw it away. Didn't matter. And we had the new version of the table hockey, but these metal ones fit on the, the spits. I know that I knew the name at one time for these, but I don't right now. I had that for years, but I don't know where it is anymore. That was right in our wheelhouse of playing table hockey. Grade 9, 10. Kirk watches every day on Game Plus in Toronto, and I appreciate that. And he says, hi, Rod. It's CFL, MLB playoffs, NFL for me. Can't get into the NHL until after those leagues expire. NHL season is too long for me. Well, it ain't for me, brah. Look at the shirt that I'm wearing. All summer long, I couldn't wait for where we're at right now. And if I could be at training camp right now for the Florida Panthers, I would be. I can't get out there till Saturday, but I'm going. Coral Springs. That media day yesterday, and it killed me that I couldn't be there. We were on the air. These things happen. I got friends to see. Yeah, Blue Jays won last night. You can get that in a million other places. I know you can get hockey in other places, but you can't get me talking about hockey in a million other places. Dougal Cameron in Calgary writes in. He says, I had a hockey stick autographed by Gordie Howe. I made my mom take me downtown to Eaton's during the Stampede to get it in the 60s. I was 10 years old. No idea where that stick ended up. I got a stick signed by Walter Gretzky. And interestingly enough, he signs his name W. Gretzky, and his handwriting is almost identical to Wayne's. So for years I had it. To Rod, best wishes, W. Gretzky. Nobody needed to know that it was Walter, not Wayne. He was an icon too. Last minute of play in the RP show. But again, go check out the Premier Sports Card Convention. PremierSportsCardCon.ca. Those in Northern Alberta, Southern Alberta, all meet in Central Alberta. They've come to us to help us promote their event. Would you help us out by helping them out? That's how we're going to stay on the air. So thank you to Scott Laughlin. It was awesome. Thank you to Adam Bighill. Always a very entertaining guest. And Biggie gets it. Not everybody does. I take my shots at various CFL teams just to get a reaction. He never gets mad. A lot of people do get mad. Just seeing if people are paying attention. We'll see you tomorrow. It's just going to be fantastic. Have a great 24 hours, everybody. We'll see you on the Game Plus and Key Radio here tomorrow, noon Eastern.
Who has more fun than us?